They tell me I had to hold it only 2.5 seconds instead of 3. Went back off. Well, we forgot prayer and praise and opening prayer, so we'll do that all at once. Let's just do prayer and praise right now. How's that? Can y'all hear me back here okay? Again. You say you changed batteries, right? Changed batteries. Well, I can hear How about that? We'll just go with that. We'll do it different tonight. I don't know what's going on with it. Sound man's fault. See, I got hollered like it was always pointed at me for about 3.5 years. Your turn. Firing. 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 No, it's volunteer, don't fire. Okay, we got a prayer right here. Is this prayer praise or praise? Oh. Eddie and Diane Daniels. We're going to be traveling to Oregon. Listen to me say that. I'm from Texas. I ain't supposed to say it like that. Traveling to Oregon and Washington. And when y'all leaving out?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? And going back on the 12th?
We'll be back to church on the 12th.
How big is your suitcase?
We carry 2 big ones.
How about 3? I need a break. This feels weird. I feel like Tony Robbins. We'll be praying for y'all, so we're going to keep going prayer now and while you're going as well. Anybody have? Yes, ma'am.
Our little lady back here that will look like
Miss Joanne's on a respirator right now in intensive care. Where at?
Lake Point. Here yesterday. She did look at crocodile. She tried to wave, but switched it off and back out.
Okay. I need to hear that. Anybody else got a prayer? Okay.
I'm spoken for Miss Donna's niece.
Okay. Miss Donna?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Donna's niece. You want to spoken? Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, so he was in the hospital and he's back walking though right now.
Walking right now, but he's going to be there for 4 to 6 months.
Okay, we'll be praying for that recovery, for sure.
The Whites always.
Yeah, we want to keep the Whites, dear friends of ours from Right Eye. Terry's still got a big struggle going on. That's that. God's still got his hands on it, and God can still turn that around 180 degrees. For those of you that don't know, he has a big mass in his throat. He's eating from intravenously right now. Now he's in good spirits. He's at home. He sits there and watches TVs and gives you a hard time like always. But anytime you stop eating from your mouth, it can go either direction. And they're very dear friends. I was with them over there in the band and stuff for a few years, and we're good family friends. And I've known Terry for about 20 years, and so we're going to keep them in prayer too. Anybody else? About a praise or anything?
I woke up.
Amen to that, right? Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much. We're so grateful for the mercy that you show us, and we're grateful for the forgiveness you give us on everything. Lord, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to make it 1 minute to the next in this world. Lord, I ask that you lift up these that are in need right now, that are in pain, that you be with them and you put your healing hands upon them and give their family strength in this time of need. We have faith that you'll do that because you've promised us that if we just ask for it. We may not always understand it, but we know it'll be in your plan. And we have faith that you'll do the right thing for those people. Lord, be with us tonight. Thank you for the band, for the messages, the worship messages that they sent. And I ask that you remove me tonight, Lord, and we just deliver your word only. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I feel funny holding this thing. Man, we got a shotgun mic or anything? Wow. I think it spoiled me. It quit again. We don't know what's going on. I tell you what. I'm going to give you a scripture. I'm going to turn to Matthew 7:14. 7:14. We're going to start off a little different. Matthew 7:14, one of my favorite books of the Bible, if not the favorite. The whole Bible's my favorite. You know, if I had to pick one, I think Matthew probably is. 7:14. It's pretty simple. I'm going to read mine out of the newer King James. Yours may read just a little different, but the point's still real crystal clear. It says, this is Christ. It says, because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. Pretty black and white, even in King James, right? Narrow is the gate. Now, how many of you know? Everybody knows that it's hard to run through a narrow gate. It's hard to drive a car through it. It's hard to do anything through a narrow gate. It's hard to walk on a narrow path. We know the analogies. Jesus is telling you right there, look, guys, it is not going to be easy. This right here is proof. When you hear people saying, oh, if you get saved, you'll be, you know, for other Christians, sometimes they'll snowball the truth a little bit. And hey, when you get saved, everything's going to be great. Everything's not always going to be great, is it? The one thing that's fantastic beyond belief is the fact that we've sealed our eternal life. But Jesus says right here, himself, because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. Few who find it. If you think about that for a second, we look how many's in here right now, and we think, well, you know, there's how many's in Quinlan? 35,000. Well, I mean, the Quinlan area, generic, I thought it was like 35,000. I know it's like 38,000 cars go through downtown Quinlan every day commuting. That's not an exaggeration. I actually looked that up one time. But that's to and from. Either way, when you compare the numbers in here right now to the numbers that could be here right now, it's just a little shadow of what God, or a little bit of light on what Jesus says right here. Because not everybody's going to find their way along a narrow path or through a narrow gate. Even Christians. We all struggle every day, don't we? We have a hard time. We've talked little bits and pieces about the same thing the last several times I've been up here. And tonight we're going to talk just a little bit about a struggle. And about the struggle. And about how and why we're struggling. And the funny thing is, and this is where we all get beat up. This is where we all get beat up. Most of the time, it's because of us. And almost 99, well, let's just not say most, let's say 99.9% of the time, it's because something that we did. And most of the time, out of that 99%, we don't realize we done it. And the reason we don't realize we've done it is because we're sucked up in this world right now, and we're just trying to survive and conform, and there's a lot of factors fall into that. So I'm going to come back to that in just a minute, but first I'm going to tell you a story. I'll do my best to set this up because this is one of the most used stories in the Bible for all kinds of sermons. How many of you ever heard of Naaman and Elisha? Not Elijah, Elisha. If you don't have to turn there, but I'm going to go ahead and turn to it. No, I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you about it first. All right. Naaman was a great war captain. Let's just call him a war captain. He was a captain of the Syrian army. And they had been winning battles everywhere and everything. And he was a great man in I think Aram was the country. Right not too far from Israel. And so picture this right now. Picture this back then. You've seen all the gladiator movies and the Christian movies and everything, and the things they wore and the outfits that the leadership wore. And it was pretty grand for that time. But when these captains of these armies walked into the room, you knew it. They made a commanding presence the minute they walked in. As a matter of fact, the only one above Naaman is the king himself at this time. So picture that. Naaman is this grand. I'm saying this guy because he's a leader and he's so respected, he's so powerful. I'm thinking this guy's probably 6'6". You know, just what you think. Maybe he's tall. But you picture a big man, big powerful man, and he comes in and he's real close to the king, and there's a lot of things going on. But Naaman has his struggle too. You would think that a man with his power, it would probably be pretty awesome to live in his household, wouldn't it? You would think that you would want for nothing in Naaman's household. And that happiness would pretty much abound because the spouse and any kids and servants and stuff were going to be treated well. Well, Naaman had a big problem. Naaman had a really big problem. As a matter of fact, if you compared it to nowadays, it's just as detrimental as cancer, if not worse. It's terminal, just like cancer, most of the time. We're getting better about the cancer part, thank God. But Naaman had leprosy. And I don't know if anybody knows, or everybody knows about leprosy, but leprosy was pretty bad. It was really bad. And leprosy starts out, and it gradually grows, and it affects your nervous system. You've seen the movies. You've seen how it has sores begin to start all over you and lesions everywhere. And it's just a really nasty, horrible, horrible disease. So here's this great grandeur of a man, and he's got leprosy. Now the king knew he had leprosy. But the king was close to him because he had brought him many victories. He had been loyal. But nonetheless, he still got his pains at home, right? So everything on the outside is not always what it appears to be on the inside with anybody. No matter what their position in life is, they still have their problems, just as you and I. He was human, just as you and I are every day. Well, as the story moves on, he's getting worse, and I'm not going to go into too much, but as far as little details, but I want to set the whole thing up. So here's Naaman, he got leprosy, and it's progressing, and it's getting worse, and his wife is reeling about it and everything, and they have a little servant girl. And this little servant girl is from Israel. And this little servant girl has seen the pain and the misery going through the family household because of Naaman's leprosy. And she has compassion. She's a Christian girl. Well, at that time, we're just going to call her a Christian girl, okay? We're not going to go into that kind of detail. Yeah. She's a believer of God, okay? At some point, she tells Naaman's wife about a prophet in Israel. And she says, if only my master would go down and see this prophet, that he might be healed of his leprosy. Well, Naaman and especially his wife probably had never heard of God. I don't believe his wife was supposed to have ever heard of God. Not God in the sense we know who it is. They have probably heard of several gods, but not the God. So anyway, she went to her husband and pleaded upon him and told him about the prophet that's supposed to be there to heal his leprosy. And he goes to the king, and the king is all excited with him. The king says, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll provide you with a letter stating to the king of Israel, because they didn't know who this prophet was. He said, I'll tell the king of Israel, because if he can't, surely he knows who can heal you. So he said, not only that, I'm going to put together payoff. I'm going to put together silver and gold. So he loads up Naaman and his crew, and they go down to Israel. They make their way down there. I can see it now. It's probably a big caravan, camels, horses, whatever it is. I'm sure, considering who he was, it was quite the spectacle at that time, going through the desert. And here they come riding in, and they come into the, I forgot his name. They come riding into Israel, and they approach the king. And this is the part I want to read to you first, which is actually in 2 Kings 5:7. They take this, Naaman takes this letter to the king, or actually it's probably a servant handing the letter, of course. And the king reads it, and the first thing he says is, am I God to kill and make alive this man that sends me, or this man sends me to heal him? And I can't read it now. Sends me to heal him of his leprosy. That was terrible. My delivery was not good. The first reaction of the king was sarcasm. Let's just go with sarcasm. Because he's sitting there saying, am I God? For them to send him down here to heal me, or to heal him of his leprosy? There's two things going on here. First of all, his sarcasm. He's flying off the coop, he's going wigging out. The reason he's wigging out is because they've been getting their tails kicked by the Syrian army anyway. So here he thinks he's being set up by Naaman's king. So my point here is the reaction. His reaction. Before he thought things through, he flies off the handle. And he goes to tearing his clothes, and throwing ashes on his head, and all kinds. He just acts a fool. He just wigs out, as we call it here nowadays. Well, I'm sure there was some kind of before he went out in front of these people, showing weakness, he probably called out some kind of break. Can you give us time to think this over? Whatever. I'm sure Naaman and his folks stepped out, and that's whenever he done all this. So in the interim, while he's freaking out, Elisha heard about this. I'm sure this went on over a day's time or two. Elisha, the prophet, the man of God, heard about this. And if you go back in Kings and you read about Elisha, 1st and 2nd Kings, you'll find out that he's done a lot. He's done a lot. It ain't just one coming up. Elisha was a strong man of God, and Elisha has done a lot at this point. So Elisha sends word to the king of Israel and says, hey, why do you tear your clothes? Why are you throwing ashes in your hair, or in your head, on your head, up in the air, or however you want to call it? Why are you doing this? Why are you throwing a fit? And he said, send him to me. Send him to me. And so Naaman takes his caravan and he goes over to Elisha's house, and I can see it now. He's probably riding up. I can see he's probably, what do you think, a little parade or something? Anything short of tambourines and drums, I'm sure. So he makes this grand entrance, and it probably was, really a small shack, because from what we understand, Elisha did not live fancily. He's a man of God. He didn't care about worldly things. He didn't care about material things. So here's Naaman riding up, and he gets out of his F-250. Just check and see if you are awake. But he gets out, and you think, I'm sure that Naaman, the captain of the army, with all his grandeur we keep talking about, is expecting a very warm welcome. A very humble welcome, as you will. But what does he get? Does anybody know the story? What does he get? Nothing. Except a little servant. Comes out and says, you are to go to the Jordan River, and you are to dip yourself, or dunk yourself, or jump in, or whatever you want to call it, 7 times. Because that's not the point. There's a different point here. 7 times. Now, if you read about the geographics, the Jordan River is not nice. It's small. It's muddy. It's nasty. Probably like some of the creeks we used to ride motorcycles through. So, Naaman loses, he gets mad. Naaman gets mad. And the reason he gets mad is because, first of all, how insulting is it for the prophet himself not to come greet me? Why would you send your servant? Number 2, how dare you tell me to go jump in the river 7 times? But he didn't really say it like that. But how dare you tell, and I forgot the name of the river. He quoted off several rivers. I should have read that to you. Anyway, the point is not that. The point is there's a lot nicer places to go and jump in the river. So here's this prophet telling this great man to go jump in the river 7 times. I know I'm delivering this a lot differently than a lot of people do. But the point's the same. He loses his mind. He wigs out as the other king. As the king did. He wigs out. His first reaction, how dare you? He wigs out. Finally, he's getting ready to leave, and one of his servants says, right here, my father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, wash and be clean? All right, so the whole point of him being there was to get healed, whatever it took. That's the point of what he was there for. But instead of staying with the hope and the belief, he was too busy flying off the handle, just as the king did, for thinking they were setting him up. Okay, so, and like I say, I got to stay on track here because this story can go so many different directions. So his servants talk him into going to the Jordan River, and he does so. And I'm sure it's something like did himself once. He sat around the bank for an hour or two thinking about it before he jumped into the nasty water. Doubt. I doubt it'll work. I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work. Why am I even here? I'm better than this. I'm bigger than that. You see what I mean? But his servants could have convinced him to do it. So dunk once, nothing. Dunk 2, nothing. 3, 4, 5. I'm sure by now he's getting tired of going in and out of the river. 6, nothing. But as a great man as a great leader, he follows through. And God proves his point. He steps in that seventh time and comes out and has the skin of a young boy. The leprosy is gone. Now, we're not talking about a man who's worshiped God until this point. We're not talking about someone who has been faithful to God. We're talking about someone who is just trying to heal for himself. But God proved his point here through Elisha. Elisha set a couple things up. First of all, he didn't give in to the fact that the man was a great man. He just followed God's commandment. He gave the man the orders that God told him to give him. He didn't go in face to face. He just did it. He didn't worry about the details because, like I say, he was not intimidated by the man's grandeur and who he was. He just obeyed God and sent a servant to the door, as he would for probably anybody else. Now, granted, Naaman, was thankful, went back, tried to give him the riches and everything, and he wouldn't take it. That's just kind of how the story wraps up. But the point is, how many times, and this is everybody, how many times we get upset right off the bat when something comes out of somebody's mouth? I mean, as soon as it gets up, as soon as they get to the period in a sentence, we're so busy thinking of something to say back, we lose focus on what we was even thinking about before that. And, it's like, Naaman did that. The king of Israel did that. The king of Israel, he probably shouldn't have went back there and threw a fit in front of all his people. He should have said, okay, God, what would you have me do here? Instead of acting a fool. Granted, the story's about Naaman. It's not about the king of Israel. But Naaman did the same thing when he was insulted by being commanded by a servant in place of the prophet. He got angry and was about to leave and go back. And see, here's another part of this. The reason that the servant of Naaman told him this, where he sat here and said, had the prophet told you to do something great, would you not have done it? There's old pride sticking his nose out. And I guarantee you that Naaman was full of it. Guarantee you. Because think about it. He's got a reputation to uphold. He's got to maintain this, facade. I am the captain of the Syrian army. How dare you? Instead of whatever you say, I will try it because I'm desperate. Now, there's a story, and Kelvin, you may know about this. I'm not naming anything because there's nothing right here close anyway. And this has been quite some time ago. This is going to be another example of what I'm talking about. There was a story about a church that was about to split. And this had started festering over one little bitty thing. And nobody at the time right up front knew what was going on. And this went on, and this church was divided down the middle. You can paint a line on Sunday morning. And there was bickering and back talk and whispers and everything in the church. And these are church people that used to hug, shake hands, love, buy each other lunch, pray for each other, cry for each other. These are folks that would do anything for each other as brothers and sisters in Christ. And now they're divided down the middle. And this pastor called a meeting at one point. This is a true story, by the way. This ain't made up. This pastor called a meeting with all the leadership in the church. And they were all sitting around and they're doing the same thing. They're bickering over he said, she said, everything said. Okay? You know what it started over? One person. A leader in the church thought, now here's the key word, thought that the pastor didn't shake his hand like he meant it that morning. One morning. Now we sit here and we laugh about it and we think about it and we're like, well, that's just stupid. Well, that's funny you say that. Oh, it's funny I said that for you. Because you know what he did in that meeting? The pastor, this is where wisdom, in my opinion, came out. He said, guys, we need to pray about this. Right in the middle, they're all bickering. They're probably over the table leaning at each other, hollering at each other. And from what I understand, it was pretty rough. He stopped everybody and said, wait a minute, guys, we need to pray about this. And they took their hats off, and I'm sure with attitude, threw them on the ground or threw them on the table or whatever was going on at that time. I shudder to think about it. And he said, Lord, you said we're two or more gathered. You're with us. And right now, I ask that you help us to not be so stupid. And he said, amen. And he put his hat on and he walked outside. Amen. And do you know that there was more crying and there was more handshaking going on in that church than it had been since the day it started? And the reason is because they realize what's important. We are human beings. Look, we're going to make mistakes, folks. But we struggle in life because we tend to be oversensitive, if you want to call it that. We tend to be judgmental. We tend to be the people that we don't want to be. We fall into that crack. Everybody does. You can be the best person around in the church. And I have no reason or any one particular person in this church on any day for forgiving this. This is what God laid on my heart. Because I care about this church, and I don't want to see that thing where that line is painted down the middle of this church a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And if I take the cord that's sitting here right now, and I can put a little light from God, but through me, not me, but if I can be the tool that he uses to plant that seed of awareness that we become closer as people in this church, to not be like everybody else, and to forgive and to move on.
Amen.
I care a little bit. I care about this church. I care about what God has to say about this church. And I know you do too. We tend to get into a situation where, and I'm guilty of it, we tend to get in a situation where it says, where everybody would just wish everybody else would do it their way. Well, if we just do it this way or that way, then I'd be happy. And we don't get along. Well, where's the problem in that? It's right here. I'm good, thank you, buddy. The problem is, it's right where you're standing. It's right where it starts. And that's where you open your mouth in the wrong way. And then what happens whenever we start worrying about all these little things, we start bickering? We kill the Holy Spirit. We kill it dead. There's nothing you can do for God in a positive way if you're so busy worried about Tom Smith and Jackson and everybody else and what they should have done. Or that they should have done it different, or they should have done it better. There's a way to support each other and come out of this healed at the time. Don't fall into the trap of getting leprosy, if you will. You can grab that leprosy at that moment. That is your leprosy when you do that. When you get defensive first instead of analyzing and loving first. Wash off the leprosy. Now, that's your option if you want to go down to the creek. I would say just pray about it. Practice makes perfect, right? So the more you pray, what's my motto around here? Pray about it, pray about it, pray about it. Do this. Well, first of all, Jesus tells you to let it go. If Jesus acted the way we did, we'd be no hope for us right now. There would be no hope. Because there were so many opportunities for Jesus to act like that. Well, I wish that this disciple had done this better. I wish that disciple hadn't said this. He could have picked everybody on the planet apart. But that was not his focus, was it? His focus was to love and die for us. To leave us with instruction and lessons. That's his purpose. And that is the purpose we have. When you hear the Bible says, take up my cross and follow me, that means take up my work. That means do what I've done when I was here. Act like I acted. Take up my cross. Not just your cross. You know, the next time you get into these situations, momentarily talking situations, Somebody says something you don't like. And look, we're not all gonna like something, everything somebody has something to say. Is that right? You know what I mean? The next time, here's the first thing I want you to do. I want you to tell yourself, this is the hard part. Right? This is the hard part that Jesus talked about. Narrow is the gate. This is the hard part of being a Christian. But where's the good part of it? The good part of it is, He's going to lead you through it. If you let Him lead you through it. We talked about this, I know, a lot. But since when are all our problems fixed since the last time I said something like that? So I imagine we'll probably keep working on it, right? I know I will. So the first thing you do is to yourself, remember Naaman, and then say, this is the hard part that God was telling me about. This is the hard part of being a Christian. And that's okay. God told me it was going to be this way. It's okay. The next time, we probably got brothers or sisters, or brothers and sisters of Christ, or brothers and sisters in family, or work co-workers, or anything. And every time you turn around, they're falling apart about something. Right? You see it in other people. It's easier to recognize in other people than yourself. And this is where it's really hard for us to be supportive, but that's what we're supposed to do. That's the important part of what we do, is being the support they need for Christ. So when that happens, you tell them in advance, of course. Tell them, like Brock. It's like, you see me breaking up on something, or melting down, or wigging out, as we called it earlier. If you see me start wigging out or something, tell them, hey, brother, you're getting leprosy. You're getting your leprosy back. Because what does leprosy do? It consumes you. It starts small, and it eats you alive. And so does this. So does everything we've talked about. So put me in check. If I start wigging out, say, hey, brother, just want to tell you, hey, you got your leprosy back. Put my mind in check. And then I can share a laugh with you. We've got a positive thing. I can pray about it. I can move on. You can move on. Don't beat each other up. Don't let it beat you up, because you're hurting yourself as much as you're hurting anybody else verbally, if not more. Here's the key 3 words when it comes to living a Christian life. Die to self. We don't count. We count in Jesus' eyes, but die to self. Because every time you die to self, you gain more. Every time. God's got a plan, as we say every week, every time. God's got a plan for every one of us. If you don't want to struggle, think about Naaman. Think about the leprosy he had, what he had to go through. We don't have to go through that. We just have to put ourselves in check, pray about it, and find the love first and deliver the love first. Then, what constructive criticism, some of us can take it, some of us can't. It all becomes light constructive criticism when you share it with love. Love and grace. Because Jesus wouldn't have done it. And if we're not going to do it like Jesus does, or did, or wants us to do now, what good is it to do anything? Right? It's pointless. We have a walk to take care of, folks. We have a walk with Christ. We have a light to shine to other people. And it's a constant work in progress. But we have to do it. We have to do it to be happy. We have to do it to be obedient first. So lift each other up. Lift your family up. Lift your co-workers up. Lift everybody around you up. And then automatically you will be on top. Without question. You won't even have to ask for it. It'll be there. You'll be right there. You'll be so excited in life that you can't contain yourself. Okay? Lose the temper. I'm still working on mine. The traffic. Lose the leprosy. And die to self. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much again. Lord, I ask that you be with us, that you teach us, Lord, to love first, to forgive, and to keep you in the forefront of every thought of everything we do. Because we know that if we do that, we cannot fail. We cannot do the wrong thing. As long as we got you in front of us, leading our way, we cannot take the wrong way and go down the wrong path. Lord, I ask that you be with us for the rest of the week and that you guide us on that path and that you keep our eyes on you and temper our leprosy that we carry with us constantly and that we can love others even better. And we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. I talked to the Baptist Loan Corporation today, and I found good information about our loan. And we are proceeding with the owner finance program, but I was telling them about the contract we have. Just two key things I found about the Baptist Loan